Well, it looks like we got a new Fellowship of the Ring, or should I say, Fellowship of the North, who's going to be heading to find the White Walker and show it to Cersei. I think we got a really nice group, guys. This is going to be sick. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next episode. But either way, welcome back, everybody, to the Season 7 reviews for Game of Thrones. Today we're reviewing Episode 5, titled Eastwatch, reference to Eastwatch by the Sea, the castle at the east side of the Wall. This was another great episode, stellar episode. I honestly did not have much problems with this episode. There weren't many issues I had. The only thing bad I'd say about this episode is that there's a lot of time jumping and a lot of disregard for geography. There's characters who are jumping all over the place, all over Westeros in like the span of a short time. I get it, they're probably time skipping, but that's honestly the only problem. It's a bit of a nitpick. It doesn't ruin the episode in any ways, because the quality of this episode was astounding. Every storyline kept me intrigued. Everything was entertaining. The stuff with Jaime and Cersei was really good. We find out that Cersei is pregnant. Really interesting plot development there. We get a lot of reunions in this episode and the return of Gendry. Really nice to see Gendry again. We haven't seen him since Season 3. He's making weapons in King's Landing. Smartest choice, because they're looking for him there, and that's the place they'd least expect him to go. So Gendry's back, finally. I thought the writers had completely abandoned him, forgotten about him, but they didn't. So I was really glad to see him again. He's teaming up with Jon and Davos and the whole new fellowship to go north of the Wall, and I'm really glad he's back. He was always a cool character. It's nice to see him and Jon's little interactions. That was a really good highlight of this episode, because both their fathers, or Jon's adoptive father, Ned, was really good friends with Robert Baratheon, and it's just really, really nice. It's kind of like comes full circle to see them both working together for a common cause, getting along. It's like, it just reminds me of Ned and Robert, and a lot of the things in this season, and especially in this episode, reminded me of Season 1. There's a lot of good callbacks to Season 1. We have Jaime saying Tywin's line about the lion doesn't care about the opinions of a sheep, and of course Gendry and Jon, Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark parallels. It's really nice to see that, because Season 1 is my favorite season, and this season is really paying homage to that, so I really respect that. Other things about this episode that kind of I didn't like would probably be Daenerys. She's, like I said, I never liked Daenerys' character, and this episode kind of demonstrated that again. We kind of see that with Tyrion's confliction with her. Daenerys basically burns Randall and Dickon Tarly, no mercy at all, and Tyrion's like, "Why are you doing this?" And like, I was really pissed during that scene, because she's like her father. Like, Tyrion and Varys are both talking about this episode, and she's gonna be insane, and it's just not looking good for her. But there was a good scene in this episode with her. Jorah finally reunites with her, returns to Dragonstone. It was really nice to see Jorah kind of meet back with her again and see them get along. That's like the one redeeming quality I like about Daenerys, is that her relationship with Jorah is something I really appreciated. I'd love for them to get together, but I know it's probably going to be Jon and Daenerys. They're just kind of building up that romance, which I don't really have too much of a problem with. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it could get worse potentially. But that's not really in this episode. This episode played it off very well. We have a lot of plot progression in this episode. We basically have this new group of guys, basically Jon, Gendry, Tormund, Jorah, the Brotherhood and the Hound are all going to go north of the Wall to find a White, show Cersei so they can end this war. We also get a really cool reunion between Tyrion and Jaime. They haven't seen each other since Tyrion killed Tywin, so that was really interesting. Jaime was pissed to see him, naturally. He said he'd split him in two the next time he'd seen him, and that was a line in Season 5, so I'm glad that they're having the continuity with that, but he's basically saying there's a greater threat, we can't worry about our problems now, we gotta fight the White Walkers, and Jaime kind of tells Cersei this, but she disregards it and says, "Oh, that's okay, but because we need to have a future for our kid." Cersei's pregnant again, so I guess the first three bastard incest kids didn't really work out, so they're trying to have a fourth one, which is interesting. I'm really excited to see where that goes, like I said. We also have conflict in Winterfell. We have Arya and Sansa kind of arguing, because Sansa's kind of allowing Jon to be insulted by the other Northern Lords who were unsatisfied with him being at Dragonstone. Arya's kind of confronting her about that. And we got Littlefinger, who's up to some stuff. We see him sneaking around with all these letters and all that, and he's talking to everybody. He finds something. He finds this old letter that Maester Wolken shows to him. And I assume that's going to be the letter that Sansa wrote to Robb back in Season 1 that Cersei forced her to write, which made them think that she was going to betray them, but they knew, oh, that's not Sansa's handwriting. Cersei forced her to write that. I imagine that Littlefinger's trying to set up a conflict between Arya and Sansa. He's behind something. You see him sneaking around, but I don't think he's going to succeed. I really think Littlefinger's probably going to die. They're just setting up one last little plan and scheme that he has. So, interested to see where that'll go, but I don't see it being too much of a plot. I don't see him ruining Arya and Sansa's relationship. I don't see anyone dying except him in that instance. I'm sure Bran will help them out. And speaking of Bran, he basically has a vision of beyond the wall, all the Whites and the Night King's army is basically moving towards Eastwatch, which gets everyone to gather up together, gather the alliance, so they can go beyond the wall and face the bigger threat, which is basically the underlying theme of this episode is just kind of setting aside our differences to face the bigger threat, which Cersei's ignoring. Daenerys is actually listening to Jon about this, and she allows him to set up their team and go to Eastwatch, which is really cool. So that's one thing I guess we can kind of forgive Daenerys for. We also have scenes with Sam in this episode where he just grows tired of all the Maester shit. He's like, hey guys, the Night King's real, the White Walkers are real, this Bran kid is real. I met him because Bran met Sam back in Season 3, if you don't remember that. And the Maesters are like, it's fake, it's not real. And Sam's basically like, screw this, I'm leaving, I've had enough of these guys, they don't believe in anything. So Sam's time as a Maester, very short, 5-episode span as a Maester. I can imagine that. He doesn't need to be there. He's just cleaning up all the shit and dealing with all these meticulous records that are just unnecessary. They're not focusing on the bigger picture. So I give props to Sam for getting out of there. I really respect Sam for that. Him and Gilly are getting out of there. And speaking of Gilly, it looks like she found some really important document, which apparently has to do with Prince Rhaegar and his marriage annulment. That's obviously going to be set up to make Jon the legitimate heir to the throne, probably, because if he annulled his marriage with Elia Martell, that means he probably married Lyanna Stark, and that really makes Jon not a bastard and the true heir to the throne. I guess they're trying to slowly set that up, but just vaguely imply it. Interesting. I'm glad Sam's getting out of there. Sam's father and his brother also died. I give respect to them, keeping their integrity to the end. They did not want to bend the knee to Daenerys. They said they went out with their beliefs, and I respect them for that. They were cool characters. May they rest in peace. I always loved Randall Tarley. He reminded me of Stannis and Tywin combined. And Dickon was a cool character that was around for a few episodes, helping out Jaime. It was nice to see them, but they're gone now. Terrible death by disrespectful Daenerys. I didn't like her in that scene. I hope that scene is what makes people kind of realize that she's crazy. People kind of realized that in the last episode, all the fans. But this episode, people are definitely going to see, oh man, I don't like Daenerys. She's kind of evil. And yeah, Randall Tarley's kind of a dick, but I don't think he deserved to die. But he went out like a boss, sticking to his beliefs, and I respect him for that. But other than that, guys, this episode, another solid episode. Honestly, it just keeps getting better, and it's really making me excited for the next one, when we're probably going to see the new Fellowship fight off against the White Walkers and the Night King and the White Army. Really excited to see that. But anyways, this episode gets another 9.5 out of 10. It's been solid. It's been a great season, and thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. I'm Rice Duke, and I'll catch you guys later.